Double, triple, quadruple check your math.
Hi everyone! If you're like me, you're waiting anxiously for the 4th season of the Overwatch League to begin. We've had 3 seasons to enjoy so far, and we're now at the point where multi-season stats and records are starting to take form and be meaningful, or at least interesting to look at. Today, I'm going to look at 5 of these stats, or records of a sort, based on the win-loss records of Overwatch League players on the maps they've participated on. Take a look. Number 1. Highest map winning percentage. It should come as no surprise that the best players, at least in terms of their map winning percentage, would come from the most successful teams. That doesn't necessarily mean those players are the best in the league, it's a team sport after all, but still there's something to be said for being the best at winning maps, even as part of a team. Now, there are 5 players who've appeared in the Overwatch League and never lost a map, but they all have just 1 or 2 maps played. So if you want a slightly higher sample size, the top player in this category is Lip from the Shanghai Dragons. He played on 105 maps last year with an 82, 21, and 2 record, good for a 790 winning percentage. However, that's not a lot of maps, and Lip has only played 1 season. I prefer to think of San Francisco's Violet as the leader in this category. He's played on 301 maps with a 228, 71, and 2 record. That's good for a 761 winning percentage. What do you think? Would you give the title to Lip or to Violet? Number 2. Most maps played without appearing in the playoffs. I divide Overwatch League maps into 2 categories, regular season and playoffs. I count the playoffs as stage championships from the first 2 seasons, the tournaments from last season, end of season playoffs, and yes, even those play-in matches that OWL itself seems to flip-flop between calling playoffs and not playoffs. Regular season is everything else. So, who's the unluckiest OWL player? Who's played the most maps throughout the first 3 seasons without ever appearing in the playoffs? The answer to that is Sleepy. He appeared in 213 maps without a single one being part of a playoff match. The support player was with the Shock at Season 1 when they weren't very good, and was traded from the Shock to the Washington Justice early in Season 2, so he didn't get to be a part of San Francisco's amazing 2019 season. Talk about bad timing. Number 3. Highest differential. Differential is just maps won minus maps lost. The Overwatch League uses differential to break ties in its standings, but what if we apply the same concept to players? If we do, we find that the best differential belongs to Choi Yobin. The Shock's tank player has 250 wins versus 85 losses, granting him a plus 165 differential. In fact, the top 3 players in this category all play for the Shock, with Violet and Moth at numbers 2 and 3. And if you want to be depressed, I'll tell you the lowest differential, and that belongs to Poor Otto, who played for 2 of the worst teams in OWL history, the 2018 Dragons and 2019 Justice, along with a brief stint with Hangzhou last year. At a negative 101 differential, he's the only player with a negative differential in the triple digits. Number 4. Longest map losing streak. While we're on the topic of the 2018 Dragons, let's talk about the longest map streak for a player. That belongs to 5King, who took the L in 28 straight maps in 2018. As a team, the Dragons' longest losing streak that year was 24 maps, so 5King was especially unlucky. But even 5King couldn't match his teammate Freefeel, who didn't score a W in 31 straight maps. Now, one of those was a draw, so it didn't exactly match 5King's losing streak, but I thought it should be mentioned. And in case you're wondering who has the longest winning streak, well, that's pretty easy, and you probably know the answer. It's 5 members of the San Francisco Shock during Stage 2 of 2019, when they all won 28 maps in a row. Number 5. Most draws. We've talked about some highs and lows, so let's try and pull it back toward the middle. What player has been on the most drawn maps in the Overwatch League throughout its first 3 seasons? This isn't something anyone's ever going to brag about, but I think it's a neat bit of trivia. The answer is Fate, whose team has been good enough to not lose, but not good enough to win 15 times in the 404 maps he's played. Overall, about 2.1% of OWL maps end in a draw, and Fate's rate is at 3.7%, so he's very good at being average. If you enjoy stats like this and want to see more, check out my website, owlstats.net, and follow me on Twitter at owlstatsnet. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, and if you'd like to see more like it in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.